Adjective. An adjective describes an attribute of a word or phrase. For example, she is singing beautifully. Adverb. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. For example, Seabiscuit was the fastest runner at the Derby. Conjunctions. A conjunction is a word that is used to connect two sentences. It creates a logical relation between two phrases. For example, and, or, but, nor, as well as neither, for, so, etc., are called conjunctions. Preposition. A preposition is a word that shows the relation of a noun or pronoun to other words in the sentence. For example, the book is in the shelf. Speaking English is different from speaking correct English. For someone who has been speaking in English his or her entire life, grammar comes naturally. I know a lot of people who can speak English and get their point across, but their grammar is not that great. There are a few steps you can take to practice your grammar skills. Understand the parts of speech. Learn all the parts of speech. Essentially, every word in a sentence can be categorized into a word class. When you are reading a book or the newspaper, try figuring out which words are the nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, pronouns, conjunctions, and prepositions. Look for structures. Observe how people use their words and how books are written. There are certain structures that stay the same. Identify mistakes. There are a lot of mistakes in the way English is spoken and written, even by native English speakers. However, when learning a new language, some words may be difficult for your native speakers. This differs from language to language. For example, Russians have trouble understanding the difference between the use of a and the. Exercises perform grammatical exercises. You could do this on the internet, or you could buy a children's English school book. Complete at least one exercise in a day. This is how children learn grammar. There is no other way to do it. Hire a tutor. It would be advisable for you go hire a tutor to guide you. Only a tutor can tell you that you are wrong and correct your mistakes. Colleagues and friends might not correct you for fear of embarrassing you or hurting your feelings. Do not translate. Translating English to your native language or vice versa will inevitably create mistakes. Let you native language be and concentrate only on English. Translating generally spoils the grammar of the sentence. Listen. When you are listening, you are hearing correct grammar. You could either listen to yourself while reading aloud, or you could watch TV. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Pick an English book or newspaper to read. Step 2. Keep a pen and paper with your. Preferably a small notebook specifically for components of grammar. Step 3. While reading, go one paragraph at a time and note down the nouns, verbs, adjective, and adverbs that you come across. Step 4. Try making your own sentences using these words. Step 5. Repeat the same process for the next paragraph. Chapter 6. Most used English vocabulary. Imperative to learn. English has an extensive vocabulary. It is loaded with homophones, homonyms, and homographs. Homonyms, words with same spellings and pronunciations but different meanings, homophones. Words that sound similar but have different spellings and meaning. Homographs. Words that are spelled the same but have different pronunciations and meanings. Homophones 1. Advise. Advise is a verb. For example, I advise you to bring bottled water. Advice. Advice is a noun. For example, I need your advice. 2. Affect. Affect is a verb, which means to influence. For example, the injury won't affect her performance. Effect. Effect is a noun. That means the outcome or result. When used as a verb, effect means to produce a result. For example, the song had a calming effect on the baby. 3. Allude. Allude is a verb, which meaning calling attention to indirectly. It is a coy. For example, the paintings allude to Rembrandt. Elude. Elude means to evade or get away from something. For example, Michael Scofield eluded the cops. 4. Allusion. An allusion is an indirect or casual reference. For example, the novel's title is an allusion to Shakespeare. Illusion. An illusion is false idea or image. For example, the tension between illusion and reality. 5. All. Used to refer to the whole quantity. For example, she left all her jewelry to her daughter All, a small pointed tool used for piercing holes. For example, he used an awl to pierce the leather. 6. Amoral. Lacking a moral sense. Unconcerned with the rightness or wrongness of something. For example, a immoral attitude to gender discrimination. Immoral. Immoral means violating conscience or public morality. For example, an immoral and unwinnable war. 7th Ark. Noah's Ark, or a vessel that serves as protection against extinction. For example, a starship built by their android protectors Ark, a curved shaped. For example, the huge arc of the sky ate bazaar. Bazaar is a marketplace. For example, Tony went to the bazaar to buy vegetables. Bizarre. Bizarre, on the other hand, means something unusual and spooky. For example, the Bermuda Triangle incidents are bizarre. 9. Bridal. Bridal concerns a wedding or bride. For example, bridal traditions will never go away. Bridle. A bridle is a horse harness or a rope. It could also mean to keep under control. For example, the fact that she was the servant bridled her tongue. 10th. Coin. An external corner of a wall. For example, coign of vantage is a phrase meaning a favorable position for observation or action coin. A flat, typically round piece of metal with an official stamp used as money or to invent or devise a new word or phrase. For example, he showed me how we could make a lot of coins, or he coined the term desktop publishing. 11. Colonel, an army officer of high rank. For example, the Jawans saluted as the colonel drove by. Kernel, a softer, usually edible part of a nut, or the central of most important part of something. For example, this is the kernel of the argument. 12th. Complement, a thing that completes or brings to perfection. For example, the libretto proved a perfect complement to the music compliment, a polite expression of praise admiration. For example, the bride was complimented by many of her wedding day. 13. Doe, a female deer. For example, the safari saw a doe and her fawn doe, a thick, malleable mixture of flour and liquid used for baking or lots of money. For example, the dog ate the cookie dough. 14. Elicit, evoke, or draw out. For example, a corrupt heart elicits in an hour all that is bad in us illicit, forbidden by law, rules, or customs. For example, adolescents have started using illicit drugs. 15th. Gorilla, a powerfully built great ape. For example, the gorillas were creating a ruckus in the jungle gorilla, a member of a small independent group taking part in irregular fighting. For example, the guerrilla warfare was getting out of hand. 16. Imminent. Imminent means pervading or existing within. For example, the room's imminent tension made her anxious. Imminent. Imminent means about to happen. For example, the exam period is imminent. Eminent. Eminent means distinguished. For example, he was an eminent scholar. 17. Need. Massage or squeeze with the hands. For example, the bakers needed the dough knead. Require something because it is essential or very important. For example, I don't need your sarcasm. 18. License. License is the noun. For example, one who is licensed to perform dental surgery has a dental surgeon's license. License. License is the verb. 19. Nay, or rather, more than that. For example, it will take months, nay years, nay. A characteristic high-pitched sound uttered by a horse, e.g. The horses neighed in excitement on seeing their master. 20th principle, a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior. For example, a man of principle, the first in order of importance. For example, the country's principal cities. 21. Shear, cut something, such as wool, hair, or grass, with scissors or shears. For example, I'll shear off all the fleece sheer, nothing other than unmitigated. For example, she giggled with sheer delight. 22nd. Stake, a strong wooden or metal post with a point at one end. For example, they used stakes to support the trees. Steak, a slice of meat or fish, especially beef, cooked by broiling, frying, etc. For example, he liked his steak rare. 23rd team, 2 or more people working together. For example, he teamed up with the band to produce the album Team, be full of or swarming with. For example, every garden is teeming with wildlife. 24. Toe, any of the 5 digits at the end of a human foot. Push, touch, or kick with one's toe. For example, he toed off his shoes and flexed his feet. Tow, pull along with a rope or chain. For example, the car had to be towed once it stalled. 25. Vain, conceited, producing no result. For example, a vain attempt to tidy up the room vein, device for showing wind direction vein, a blood vessel, streak, crack. For example, he felt the adrenaline course through his veins. 26. We used to refer to the speaker together with other people regarded in the same category. For example, Nobody knows kids better than we teachers do. We, little, very small, very early. For example, in the wee hours of the morning. 27. Whine, a complaining tone of voice. For example, the whine of the engine whine, an alcoholic drink made of fermented grape juice. For example, he opened a bottle of red wine. 28th. Wretch, an unfortunate or unhappy person, a despicable or contemptible person, e.g., ungrateful wretches, wretch, make a sound or movement of vomiting. For example, the poor child retched during the flight homographs and homonyms. There are also words such as homonyms and homographs. Homographs are words with different meanings and pronunciations but same spellings, while homonyms are words with different meanings but same spellings and pronunciations. Homographs are words such as read, read, and read, read. 1. Bow, a weapon used for shooting arrows, a ribbon tied with 2 knots, bending your head to show respect to a king. 2. Wound, an injury, wrap around something. 3. Minute, etwas klein und winzig, eine Zeitspanne. 4. Zoe, planting a seed in the ground, an adult female pig. 5. Tear. Tears are what comes out of your eyes when you cry, ripping or breaking something. Some homonyms to look out for are 1. Book. One could refer to the book you are reading or to booking a seat at a restaurant or booking a ticket. 2. Peer. It could mean looking at something or a person your own age. 3. Fair. A fair could be a place you go to have fun, or it would mean being just and reasonable. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Keep a pocket notebook with yourself all the time. Step 2. Concentrate on people's speech. Step 3. Pick out words that have noticed as homophones, homonyms, and homographs. Step 4. Categorize these words in different sections. Step 5. Find their different meanings and uses. Chapter 7. English Writing. Improvement Tricks and Tips. As I said earlier, a language has 4 components: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Each of these components is complementary to the other. Once you know how to listen, read, and speak English, it is time to finish the process by writing properly. Writing is probably the easiest to do. However, one can make mistakes in spelling. Also, a person thinks and writes at different speeds, and that could unintentionally ruin the sentence. Still, writing is not all that easy. Problems arise when it comes to punctuation marks. Write, write, write. Just like reading and expanding your vocabulary, writing properly involves a lot of practice. Pick a topic and start writing. Do this exercise every day. Make a portfolio of all your pieces and review them in a month, looking for mistakes that you made. Once you are done, ask a friend to edit it for you. Learn the correct version. Once you have figured out your mistakes, make it a point to learn the correct version. Incorporate the corrected version in your next piece of writing exercise. Avoid using a guide. While you are practicing your writing skills, do not use a guide or dictionary. Make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. If you do not make mistakes, you will never learn. Once you know the mistakes you made, start writing again and try correcting those same mistakes. Use new words and phrases. Make it a point to use at least 2 new words and phrases, as well as idioms, slang, and colloquialisms in your article. Make sure you ask somebody to correct these if they are wrong. Punctuation. The punctuation marks you use at the end of each sentence will set the tone of that particular sentence. Whether it is an exclamation or a question, it depends on how you frame your sentence. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Pick a topic that interests you and that you are passionate about. Step 2. Start a blog based on the topic. Chapter 8. The hidden secrets that will help you learn English in a weekend. Since you can read English, you could strive to perfect it in one weekend. It will not be easy to learn everything there is to learn in a weekend, but if you work hard enough, it can be done. However, implementing what you learn is probably the hardest part. Speak English daily. Do not slip up and start using your native language. Even when you are with your own people, speak in English. If you do not have any way to speak English outside, do it at home. Watch TV or read a book and repeat out loud. Not speaking English will not help you learn. You have to use it to remember it. Study it every day. For at least 1 hour, study the language. Study the words, the history of the words, learn the grammatical rules, etc. Even if you spend only half an hour a day, that will work. Think of your English skills as a piece of iron that will rust and break apart if you do not study and oil it. Goals. Setting goals for yourself is a good way to learn English. Pick common everyday words and decide to use them regularly by the end of the week or month. You could set any goal you want. This would also turn learning English into a challenge with yourself. Be confident. Being confident means speaking English when you are outside, even if you are not good at it. Do not apologize for not being able to speak properly. Instead, ask for help and advice. It is essential to be confident, or you will never have the courage to speak out in the open, and you will never find out what your level of English is. Keep a small notebook with you. While you are learning, it would be a good idea to keep a notebook with you at all times. Every time you come across a word that you do not understand, write it down. After that, look for its meaning. At the end of your day, go through this list and learn the words on it. Try making sentences in which you can use these new words that you learned. This is a good practice because without writing down the words, chances are that you will forget them. Learn to listen. Speaking in English with other people is not your only challenge. You also have to learn to listen. Speaking and listening require 2 different parts of your body. You have to train your ears to listen to a new language and differentiate the words. Listen as much as you can. You could also read aloud, and this way you would be listening to yourself. Do not lose confidence. Learning anything new can be emotionally draining, but do not start thinking in a negative way. Instead of thinking, I can't, think, I will. Set a date, say a year or 2 years down the line, when you will be a fluent speaker, reader, and writer in English. Work hard. Everything requires hard work, even learning a language. It is important not to think of it as something that will happen in its own time. You can work hard and reduce your learning time. Treat yourself. Motivation is the best tool. Treat yourself and your friends to dinner after you complete a particular goal. Also, ask your friends to test you. This way, you will not only look forward to dinner with friends every weekend, but also to completing goals on time. Thesaurus. To develop a vast vocabulary, use a thesaurus. Learn different words with the same meanings, and then use these words in a sentence. Here, you might also see a word that you find fascinating. Group study. If you know other people trying to learn English, propose a group study. They always work better than trying to study alone. In the group, test each other using flashcards. This will not only be fun, but you will retain more when you are in a group. Spellings. Do not just learn new words. Remember to learn their spellings as well. Spelling is important to learn pronunciations. However, many times in English, the words are not always pronounced as they are spelled. I would suggest using an online source to perfect your pronunciations and then writing each word while pronouncing it aloud. This will develop an association in your brain for the word. Pay attention to idioms and colloquialisms. To talk like a native English speaker, it is important to pay special attention to idioms and colloquialisms. Make a separate notebook for these and follow the same process you use for learning words. Revise. Revise every word you have learned during the week on Sunday or any other day. This way, you ensure that the words stay with you. Remember to speak out loud so you hear yourself and your ears are trained to catch the words. English movies and songs. Whenever you have time on your hands, watch an English movie. This way, you will get used to the idea of listening to and speaking English. It will begin to seem like a natural language. Songs can be heard at any time, so pick your favorite songs and play them. Pay attention to pronunciations. Do not use subtitles, or you will not pay attention to what the person is saying. Books are for reading. When you are watching a movie, listen. Do it right now. Steps to start improving. Instantly. Step 1. Pick a topic that is trending. Step 2. Decide on your opinion on the topic. Step 3. Prepare a speech on paper. Step 4. In a gathering of friends or family, deliver this speech. Chapter 9. Common mistakes to avoid for beginners. English is a confusing language. There is no doubt about that. There are a lot of mistakes even native speakers make. Focusing on grammar. This is the most common mistake new learners make. If you focus on correcting your grammar, your English would sound extremely weird to a native speaker. Grammar actually hurts your ability to speak English. Confusing in time and on time means punctual. For example, I am always on time, whereas in time means before a deadline. For example, I submitted my college assignment just in time. Practice using these two phrases. Gender pronouns. It is common to make mistakes with he, she, him, her. In languages where no gender is specified, it can be a problem for people to learn gender-specific pronouns. In many cases, people mix up he and she. It does not cause any difference in speech, but would make for very funny incidents. Fun and funny. A lot of people make mistakes with fun and funny. Fun is a noun, while funny is an adjective. For example, the rides were fun and my friend is funny. Something that causes enjoyment and pleasure is fun. On the other hand, a person or incident that can make you laugh is funny. Singular and plural. This is another common mistake for people learning English. Sometimes new learners do not place this at the end of a word to make it plural. Problems arise when a word is considered uncountable or when a name already ends with "ans." For example, if a person's last name is Smiths, you would not say, "There are a lot of Smithses in our building." You would say, "There are a lot of Smiths in our building." Less and fewer, less and fewer are confusing terms and are often used interchangeably. There are not less people. There are fewer people. A and the another common mistake is the use of a and the. A is used when referring to something for the first time. The is used when referring to something specific. Do not use these articles when speaking about things in general, such as means, transport, or places. Who and that who is used for a person, while that is used for an object. This is a common mistake. Who describes a living being. For example, the boy who yelled wolf and the cycle that rolled off the hill. Do it right now. Steps to start improving. Instantly. Step 1. Go on the internet and look up common mistakes made while learning English for your native language. Step 2. Keep a pen and paper beside you. Step 3. Write down all the mistakes you have been making. Step 4. Understand the correct way to use the words or phrases. Step 5. Make your own sentences using these words and phrases. Chapter 10. Secret Bonus. 50 most commonly used English words. Here are 50 of the most common used words of English language. The, he, at, but, there, office, was, be, not, use, and, for. This, an, what, on, a, have, all, to, each, area, from which, were, in, as Oriental, we, island, she, with mine, when, you, do, had, his, your, how, that, by, they, can, it, their, I, word, if, said. Make it a point to study these the most, since daily conversation will involve these words. Exercise 1. Write these words down and look up their meanings. Practice pronouncing, learning one daily for 5 minutes.